Alright guys, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna remove our starter in there. We're gonna remove this transmission cooler. So I'm just gonna remove this hose here, right? So I don't have to drain the coolant. I just have to remove this whole assembly and put it aside. Next will be we'll remove that bolt there for the bracket for the coolant pipe. Remove this guy here, this connector for our, I think this is an oil pump. Um, then we can remove our starter bolts there. Let's move your starter a little bit, so that's good enough. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our crankshaft to remove our torque converter bolts. Okay, so there's six torque converter bolts, right? One way you can tell is if you're gonna turn the torque converter, if it starts spinning away from the flex plate, that should be good, right? So now I'm gonna set up our transmission jack and a jack stand for our engine to support it. Then we're gonna start removing all our bolts for the transmission, and I think we can start lowering this guy. So as you can see, I set up our jack stand, our transmission jack. So now we're gonna start removing the bolts here. There's two 17s, or 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one 17 at the back. Okay, I can see that our transmission is separating now. Our next will be, this is our cover for the side mount for the transmission. So we just have to remove this cover here. Come on. So there's gonna be two 17mm there, so we're gonna remove that. So by now, this transmission should start going down. So we're gonna try that. Baby is out. Now we just have to compare this with our new transmission, and whatever we need to transfer, we're gonna transfer it. Okay guys, so I put our new transmission on our transmission jack. So the only thing that was transferred here was the two um, transmission collar hoses, right? The rest comes with new one. This guy, our oil pump. So I'm just gonna remove our hold down for the torque converter, and then we're gonna start putting this transmission to the engine, right? And usually sometimes too, because this guy earlier, as you can see there, it's all rusty there, right? So that's why it was hard to remove, to separate the torque converter from the engine. So usually I just lightly put some grease in there just so that it will go in nicely. So I'm gonna start putting it up. And one more thing, the most important thing on this one, on these new models of the transmission, they have this what they call an oil pressure characteristics, right? This is a code that you need to program it every time you replace a transmission or control module or an oil pump. So usually I take a picture of that so that, because sometimes it's so hard to see it once it's in the car. So that's an important thing too. Okay, so I'm just gonna put the torque converter here to make sure also if we put everything back together, because sometimes it got stuck in this flywheel and the torque converter. Before you tighten all the bolts, make sure you spin the torque converter. Okay, and then you just have to line that up. We'll put all the bolts at the bottom of the transmission, and that should be it. Okay, next is we're gonna do our starter. Or before that, let me put this transmission cooler first. Okay, I think this side is done. So next will be gonna do our transfer case in side. Then next will be our drive shaft on this side. Our drive shaft this side. Let's put that first. Okay, that's in. Now the one that we had struggled last time was our drive shaft on our passenger side. So what I'm gonna do is our knuckle here on our strut on this side. I'm just gonna loosen or remove one bolt and loosen the top one so that I can just swing the whole knuckle up. So I guess we have more space, then we can put our drive shaft. Good. And next will be our exhaust manifold, or no, not exhaust manifold, the mid exhaust pipe. Okay, so I think that's it. Oh, I forgot to mention, for our old transmission, I removed our the mid mount here that attaches to the transmission. So we're gonna put that in. So before I'm gonna grab the subframe, let's just double check if we have transmission oil on this guy. Yeah.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm
just gonna open this drain plug here. Oh. Okay, so there's some fluid there. I see it's dripping. But we're not sure if it's the right amount. So when everything is done, we're gonna double check our fluid level. Okay. So I'm gonna grab the subframe, repair it in the transmission jack, and then let's install the subframe.